You want to make dad rock on your computer without actually owning a professional studio and still have it sound good? Well, I'm going to show you my process today. So, there's actually a couple of things that we do. So we want to make more Midwest emo style dad rock, right? There's a couple tunings that dad rock really uses, and Midwest emo is one of them. So I'm going to open my script editor. Midwest emo tuning is FAGCEE. That is the most popular tuning for Midwest emo. Right, that's Midwest emo tuning. FAGCE. Now you're probably wondering, what do you use to do this? How do you get so many sounds, Alex, without actually owning these instruments? This thing right here is called a Yamaha EZEG. This is my favorite instrument of all time. Why? It is a MIDI guitar. You can see that the things on it aren't even really, let me just put it, they're not actually strings. Look, that's not a string, right? This is not a string at all. These are just frets that you can basically light up. You need a capo, say we need a capo, right? We can do that through here. We can change that very easy. The sounds built into this thing are absolute garbage, by the way, because this is from the 90s, this instrument. This is basically the cheapest MIDI guitar on the market. I got it in around 2020. It was about $180 American, so it wasn't that much. Honestly, this thing's my baby. I love it so much. It's awesome. What are my favorite instruments to use, and especially Midwest emo, dad rock type stuff? This one is the best one. This is the one I recommend the most. This is called Ample Guitar. Ample Guitar makes very realistic plugins. If you do get a good plugin for Midwest emo and you can't recreate it or something for whatever reason, this is the best one to use. And the reason I say this is because I use this all the freaking time, and it works with MIDI guitars, in fact. So this is how I do it. Typically I have the channels. Each of these are for each string. That's how I do it. If I don't even have a MIDI guitar, I can still do it. Look. Right? You can drag, and you can even use a keyboard here to do it, but obviously that keyboard isn't going to work. It works with a chord tuning too with your Yamaha EZEG. But the preset I typically like to use on that one is Autumn Leaves, as I feel it creates a good Midwest emo sort of tune to it. Alright, next up, other ones I like to use a lot to get that dad rock Midwest emo types thing. This is Ample Slide Lap Steel. It emulates a lap steel guitar, aka the SpongeBob instrument. And the great thing about all these instruments in Ample, I truly believe Ample is the best plugin thing out there. I use Blue Hawaii, is that they can play all this too. So if you want to map it out in tabs, it completely works. Let's try that. Right, that's just a sample, but I like to use this a lot with Radiohead's type tufts, because Radiohead's The Tourist used that as well. I've kind of emulated that in my own songs. You can even pick your own solos. You can edit tab work. You can export your tab work. They're just perfect plugins in there, very realistic. Really great free bass alternatives is Ample Bass. Lite, I find this is a really good free alternative. Obviously here I'm playing my MIDI guitar, but this one's a great one that I use quite often because it's just so good and so free, and it's very realistic. I want an acoustic guitar from my Midwest emo, dad rock, whatever it is. Guess what? Ample has that too. Woo! Bear with me, what do I use for drums? So typically for the drums I use no plugin. I typically just use the drummer. So what I'll do is I'll go to Logic, create a new, don't close this, and say we just want to create a new drummer, right? We'll do that. A lot of this is really lazy work for a lot of us. Typically keep it onto that rock, and then a lot of Tame Impala stuff uses SoCal is whatever it's called. This is it, yeah. You can tell that's very awesome stuff, but yeah. So typically what I like to do for a lot of my effects is Bitcrusher. I love using this effect a lot. Preset. You're probably asking what preset do I use for that? Let me put in my mic a little. I typically use 60 downshift, as that creates a really cool effect. AM radio, really cool too. Another one I like to use, other than Bitcrusher, these are my typical ones that I use. I use a lot of compressors, a lot of them. Sometimes, still use reverb, but like reverb's really more of a dad rock type of thing. I'm wondering, Alex, how much is that going to cost, right? And so that is going to cost you around $180. If you want to use free plugins, go right ahead. I'm just saying Ample works the best, in my opinion. I really, truly believe that Ample works the best because it looks the best, it sounds the best, and it's just the best to use. Um, for drums, I also recommend Addictive Drums 3. That's a lot of what I use as well. I use Addictive Drums quite often. For synths, keyboards, all that kind of stuff, I use a lot of Serum, and I use a lot of clav samples and Wordalizer, as that's typically what American football uses. But yeah, that's how you make dad rock, Midwest emo, whatever you call it. And yeah.